Hey there, and welcome back to another Miraculous Ladybug video. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming London special, which is currently titled Miraculous World London at the Edge of Time. And so we have a poster, we have a title, and we have a very tentative release window. Currently it seems like Q4 2024, but until it's actually released, I'm going to take this with a grain of salt. Especially since they're placing this somewhere in the middle of Season 5. So that means it doesn't really matter if Season 6 comes out before it, and ultimately, it's not going to have a massive impact on the show's storyline, just like the Paris special came out after Season 5, and yet was set in the middle of that time period. And despite that, nothing happened in the World Special that really changed how you look at Season 5. There's no references to this alternate world that collided with their own, and so in the end, it's clear that the London special doesn't really matter all that much. At best, we might see some references to it during Season 7 or beyond. Who knows? But that's just how it's going to be. But just because I'm saying that ultimately it doesn't matter all that much in terms of the grand scheme of things, doesn't mean that I'm intentionally bad-mouthing it or anything like that. I'm not. In fact, both pieces of miraculous media that are on their way to us in the future, the World Special and Season 6, I think I'm actually far more hyped to watch the special than I am to watch Season 6. I think it's honestly time to admit that as a whole, the World Specials as a collective have been far more enjoyable for me. They've been written far better than the show, at least in recent years. I mean, the New York Special, banger. Shanghai Special, banger. Paris Special, absolute banger. The Paris World Special well and truly reinvigorated my interest in this franchise. By the end of Season 5, I was done. I did not care as much. I did enjoy the season, more than a lot of others I think did. But despite that, I was burned out on everything. They'd stretched it out so long, it was hard to get hyped up for the episodes. But that special, it was so damn good. I couldn't help but get all excited by it. It was just a whole lot of fun. I felt the setting was fresh despite it being Paris. The new characters were exciting, particularly Good Guy Gabe. The normal timeline, Ladybug and Cat Noir, they got a chance to shine, and it set up so much potential stuff for the future if they choose to revisit it, which, I say this anytime this special gets mentioned, they'd be foolish not to come back to it. Like, it would be an absolutely boneheaded move in my opinion. You can't possibly make something this good and then think, nah, we'll shelve that one forever. That would be one of the franchise's biggest fumbles of all time, if it did come to pass. But yeah, that means coming into this, I'm actually very optimistic that the World Special is going to end up being quite good. I just think the longer format works a lot better as you get more time to build spending the drama. You're building your heroes, you're building your villains and their motivations. Plus, in general, I think the writing, the dialogue, all that sort of thing, it's usually done better in these specials. No idea why that is. Isn't it pretty much the same creative team? Either way, they've not missed so far, so I'm very optimistic, even if I am honestly a bit apprehensive as to the overall content of the story. And that's pretty much just based on the title itself, because we don't really have much to go off, at least from what I found. We have a title, some posters, some vague comments, and that's about it. So I guess it's time for a whole lot of baseless speculation. That's what we do in this channel, and so let's get into it. Okay, so what do we know? What can we say for a fact is going to happen? Well, for starters, the special is going to be set in London. We know that much. I know, Sherlock Holmes over here. What a deduction! But yeah, the special is going to involve London, it's going to involve time travel, after all it's called At the Edge of Time, and Bunnix is on the poster. Both posters, so time travel, definitely. But hey, let's take a look at those two posters, right? Okay, so on the first we have Adrian and Marinette sitting together, which looks like that scene at the end of Season 5 when Adrian talks about his dad being a hero and they kiss, etc. We have the confrontation between Lady Noir and Gabe, we see Bunnix, I think it's present day younger Bunnix, and then also a different character. Maybe somebody in the comments knows who this is, because I do not. I would assume it's a villain of some sort, maybe from the future. Like, it's called At the Edge of Time, so I assume that they go to some dark, dystopian, deadly future that they have to avert, I guess. Maybe? Who knows? Then on the next poster we have Ladybug in a new suit with some yellow and white spots as well as her classic red and black. Bunnix is there again, it's definitely young Bunnix. Cerise is there. Adrian and Marinette are kissing in that scene from the end of Season 5, it looks like. And then I think, is that the scene where Gabe summons the Super Kwame? What was its name again? Gimme, that's right. Gimme. Okay, so we know that this special is going to involve time travel. And all the advertised stuff on the trailer, most of it's the stuff we've already seen. And not only that, but it's stuff that happened in the same arc. That finale arc. And on top of that, these world specials, as I said, are famously self-contained and have no real impact on the overall story. I mean, we met the New York and Shanghai heroes in what? Season 3 to 4? Like, the gap between those, was that when it was? And it took until the end of Season 5 for them to turn up again, and only as brief cameos. Not as a massive role. So we need a story that's going to involve time travel, that involves the final arc, and that has no lingering presence in the story in the immediate future. And on top of that, it needs to involve London. Okay. So this has me a little bit stumped. Initially, when I read the title and whatnot, and without looking at the posters, I figured it was going to be some sort of time travel adventure, with the idea perhaps being that Bunnix is always going back in time. Her old self always goes to help out against something that's impacting her future. The stories often get a bit wacky with time travel, but that's okay. But here I would have liked to see the opposite with this special, to see them get brought forward in time. I know they probably don't want to showcase the older versions of the heroes right now, but, I think it would have been nice. I know they want to keep the story open for whatever they want to do, but I can't help but feel that it's a massive missed opportunity to do something cool and outside the box, where the older versions need to bring in their little selves to help them, or hell, maybe some villain summons them from the past, or summons the older versions from the future into the past, and they all have to work together to help fix the timeline. For me, that is the perfect low-stakes storyline, but one that could also contain a whole lot of lore, world building, character building, interesting dynamics and story beats, and plenty of shipper moments if you're into that sort of thing. And the best part is, you wouldn't even need anything to be erased from people's memories or anything like that. However, I don't think that's what we're going to be getting. I think we're getting a bit of a what-if episode, which, I'll be real, I'm very much tired of cat noir what-if episodes, because I feel like it's almost a guarantee that the story's going to be something like he finds out something important like what happened to his dad, and his ass is going to need his memory wiped again. We've seen it before, twice, Cat Blanc and Ephemeral. And so I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to happen again here. And that is not a plot point I am going to find riveting at this stage of the game, but let's see how it goes. I think there are a couple of ways to do this, but since the story's set in London, I think it's honestly going to revolve around the imprisonment of Adrian by Gabe at the end of Season 5, and him giving away the cat Miraculous to be taken to be used by somebody else. That's what happens in the normal timeline, we know. And this sequence of events is what leads to the death of Gabe and Ladybug's final triumph, so I guess this is what the divergence point would be. I mean, the story could touch on other things, like where the hell was Felix during the final battle, why wasn't he helping out and stuff like that, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if it does follow up on that side of proceedings. After all, London's his home, right? So it would probably be a bit odd to exclude his character based on that. He's not really had much of a chance to be a hero, so I think it would be good to see him used a bit more here, but the posters don't really show him as of yet. We'll see though. What I do expect though, is that somebody's going to try to change the course of history, and it's going to be up to Bunnix and Ladybug to try to stop them. Yeah, that's right. I also have a sinking suspicion that Adrian is not going to be getting highlighted much here at all. If he does, it's going to be as a villainous character, like I said, Cat Blanc, Ephemeral, you know the drill. So some villain, maybe Cerise, maybe future Cerise, Hawkmoth from the future that we saw with, what's his name, Nino's brother. Chris, that's it. Chris, when Chris came back as an adult or an older teen or whatever he was, and he was causing mischief. What they call him, Time Tagger? So I assume that perhaps a villain is going to get sent back in time to try to change things, to interrupt the timeline, or even to just successfully snatch Adrian, thereby creating a new divergent timeline. And, based on that timeline, it's going to show how the world truly went to shit, all because Adrian was not safely locked away in London. And so we'll get this dystopian future London that Bunnix and Ladybug have to contend with. Hell, maybe Yellow Suit Ladybug is not even prime timeline Ladybug. Maybe it's the variant from this dystopian future. I don't know, time travel's confusing in this show. They don't really hold to any one set of rules, so it could be anything. But my money's on this sort of thing, where Adrian's snatched away and it makes everything terrible, and so they need to get him back. And along the way, maybe Adrian will find out what happens to his dad in the normal timeline, and thus we see why he can never find out about it, since that seems to be the direction the writing's taking the story. They really love to hammer home that message as to why Adrian needs to be a background character in terms of prominence. So yeah, regardless of what happens here, whether Adrian's snatched and taken through the time stream being chased by Bunnix and Ladybug, whether they end up in dystopian London, whether he gets akumatized or otherwise, I think the reality here is that nothing is going to change. And anything he learns is going to get undone. I mean, I still think this episode has a really, really good chance of being lots of fun, but I think until we learn a bit more, I'm also quite apprehensive on the whole thing. I'm excited, yes, I'm hyped, yes, but also apprehensive, because it feels like it could retread a whole lot of old ground and have a really unsatisfying conclusion. I'm not dooming yet. I just think that in the end, though, we just need to learn a bit more before we have any more judgments. Hopefully we get some more info soon. And so with all that being said, these have just been my opinions, and I'd like to hear yours. What do you think about what we've discussed in this video? Are you with me? A bit apprehensive? Maybe not. Maybe you're super hyped. I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.